Hello and welcome to Coach's Conversation Café. I am Keith Rodriguez, your host, and as always, I have with me the CEO and owner of Reconnecting Youth Inc., Adam Valencia. Good afternoon, Adam.
Good afternoon.
We have a nice little show lined up for you guys today. A nice little twist, good guest. We've been anxious to have him on, and we are glad he's here. He is Joseph Castillo. He is the program manager for the New Era Foster Family Agency. And he's going to share some nice little tidbits about what he does and some of his background and his coaching as well while here today with us. So thank you. Sit back and enjoy. It's going to be a great show. So, Coach, Mr. Castillo, hello.
Hey,
welcome.
What's up? How you doing?
Very good. Very good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me both. Thank you.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of your academic and athletic background, Joseph?
Well, good afternoon, first and foremost. I grew up in a town, Woodlake, just east of in the foothills. I played football, sports back there. I did baseball, basketball. Graduated class in 1999. I was the first in my family of five to even think about going and pursuing a higher education. I grew up in a big family. My father grew up of 14 siblings, 7 girls, 7 boys, and sports was always something how we came together and connected. So I had a lot of cousins to compete with. We actually played together. All 4 cousins played football varsity together at Woodlake. And I knew that education was always something that I wanted to pursue. My parents never stressed education, just taught me the hard value of what a dollar is and how to work. And so at that age of 15 and 18, I knew how to cut a lawn. I knew how to pick oranges. I knew how to, do grapes, olives. And so I really knew that was something in my pocket. But my father always said, hey, you don't want to do this, mijo, all your life. You want to go and get an education. And so at that point, I knew that, hey, if sports was allow me to go to the next level, then I'm going to use education. Obviously, I'm only 5'6", maybe 5'7" on a wet day. But other than that, education was something I had to put in my wheelhouse. So I went to Fresno State and I got my degree in psychology and then my master's in social work.
Awesome.
Well, that's great, Coach. Hey, Coach Castillo, certainly glad to have you. As Keith and I, we think so highly of you, and the fact that we spent some time with you at Mount Whitney High School, and then even prior to that, I knew you prior to that. Of course, all the coaching that you've done, and Tulare, and all over the place. And we're thrilled to have you. And my biggest thing for you is thank you again for making some time today. I think about the work that you're currently doing, but one of the things that we've talked about through many of our shows is really the standards of coaching. And as we begin to think about the standards of coaching, there was a lot to think about and consider. If you could share a little bit about your experience as a high school coach, coaching at the freshman level, JV level, varsity level, going back to JV, doing a little bit of everything. Can you just kind of share with some of our coaches who are listening out there of what are the steps that are needed to be a high school coach?
Well, having probably 14 years of experience, it all just didn't come naturally. It came with experience. It came with mentors that I was able to see coach so young at the age of probably 25. That's, I think, where I started to get, my hands wet with Woodlake. And I believe that was in 2006. But I started just knowing that being a listener to these athletes, young men, about just listening about what do they need, especially at the rural area of Woodlake where I started my fundamentals, was that a lot of them didn't have the opportunity to do travel ball or just get training one-on-one. So you really had to maybe go off and do things on the side, after practice. Hey, let's go hit in the cages, or let's go throw, let's go do agilities, off the clock, because I knew these kids didn't have financial assistance that their parents could, provide because they're at a fixed income. But I think just listening where these young men are coming from. The person-centered. I always use person-centered theory because you want to look at the person-centered and look around that person on where they're connected, whether it's church, whether it's some type of club, or whatever the case may be. I kind of like to get familiar with these young men about who they are, not just them knowing 2 hours of just, we're going to do practice for 2 hours and you're out and about. No, I want to know about, hey, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite pizza? Favorite color, whatever the case may be, because I like to create a dialogue. And then at the same time, I like to share a little bit about myself with these young men about who I am. If they open door policy, I always have an open door with every youth that I have a connection with, whether it's freshman, JV ball, varsity ball, whatever the case may be. I just want to make sure that these young men know that I am a coach, I'm a mentor, I can be a father, I can be whatever role model you need me to be for them, so that they know that, hey, I trust you, coach, and just need someone there to talk to you. And I think really growing up over the years, I started noticing that, what, these kids do have other external factors or stressors that they are dealing with, not even in class or at home. And I really feel like having my education as a social worker has allowed me to do those things, just wear those many hats within, a 2 hours, period of practice, So I really learned a lot from, and then the way you talk to these athletes, you don't know what they come from. It could be a stern environment that they're coming from, and then they really can't connect you with that because you're talking to them in a strong demeanor versus, maybe relax, taking a deep breath and empathy. I really think about empathy a lot, understanding what they're trying to convey, because maybe public speaking is something that they don't have in their back pocket. And so I want them to share a little bit about themselves, maybe in front of the group of 12 or 13, to them, it might be a huge group, but I really think that, public speaking is something that, I really felt that was a need for these young men, because, I didn't learn public speaking until college, but, just learning those small little values adds a lot, to these young men. So I think just knowing them at a personal level, being empathic, listening, and then at the same time knowing I'm a coach and that's the role that I'm going to be playing. Hey, these 2 hours, okay, let's hit it hard. And then if you have any questions after practice, hey, I'm here, I'm all ears, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, good answer, Coach. There are so many, you went through a couple of challenges there. There are so many unique challenges that we have here specific to this area, but also a lot of the same challenges that every coach goes through when they're beginning, and even when they, kind of earn their veteran stripes, they still struggle, and what is some of those challenges, maybe as far as like dealing with other coaches and coaching in general, that you were able to overcome, or you saw, and it kind of made you successful in that realm?
Well, I'll bring up a relevant one that just happened last week. Parents, I really feel like parents is an obstacle for high school coaches having to weasel themselves into like maybe a practice or maybe before a game about, hey, why isn't my son playing? And being that, starting 11 or starting 9. And so there's a time and place to discuss those things. And I like to share with the athletes that parents need to understand their role as being a parent. And I understand that they want the best for their son. But at the same time, there's ways of earning those spots, working hard in the cages, throwing after practice, or catching more receiving balls from the quarterback, or whatever the case may be, because ultimately I'm going to make the final decision when the best 11 or best 9 are going to be. And I felt like parents just need to, take a step back and trust the coaches on what they're doing, and I really find that, it's really hard, about putting those boundaries aside, because a lot of parents feel like, hey, oh, he's a good coach, I can talk to him, and, he seems really, and at the same time, you got to draw those boundaries, where 2 hours of practice, I got to, go to the, do my day job or whatever the case may be. But I think those obstacles are dealing with parents. And I know they want the best for their child, but at the same time, the best 9 or 11, because I have a big heart for everybody to play. And there'll be a time, how do I say this? Oh, here's, everybody has a role. The 9, you know, whether, hey, it's the hoorah rah guy, or it's the pitch hitter is going to come in and hit that ball, you know, home run to get all 3 in, or someone coming off the bench off the 11, you know, is going to get that interception. There's a role player that everybody, I feel, has a role, you know. And so I guess trying to embed those things to these young athletes about, hey, you have a role in this team, and you might not see that role, but at the same time, you know, I'll pinpoint it at the end of the game or after practice. Hey, that's your role right there, you know. And so just to share those things. But I think those boundaries right there are kind of an obstacle that I tend to struggle with, but I overcome it though, because at the same time, at the end of the day, I do reflect on how I was approached. And like, again, I'm always empathic. I'm always listening, and I'm genuine to the parent about, I understand your frustration. I understand that this is how you see things, and I respect your opinion, but at the end of the day, I want to make that decision with my coaches collectively so that we can play the best 9 or best 11.
Yeah, I know that, thank you for that. I think that there's a lot of times, parents and families, it's always a challenge. I mean, it's, Keith and I have talked about this, for many years on that early engagement and how important it is. I know that you have your parent meeting and you have a lot of involvement early. And so it gets quite challenging again, because again, every parent wants their child to play. One suggestion that we always came up with that, anytime that we were dealing with a parent, is that I always invite them to come to practice. Come to practice. I'm more than happy to provide you with a chair so you can watch your son practice. And then we can determine at that point. And so the one thing that I really appreciate about you, Coach, is that you're very approachable. And so to have parents come off in a certain way, it's a sign of the times. I mean, many families are dealing with post-COVID, and as they're beginning to travel, and so anxiety is very high, trauma is very high, and every parent is trying to get their child on the field or in the pool or on the court or wherever it may be. So, definitely appreciate you doing what you're doing. I know it gets challenging, but that's what this Coach's Corner is all about. Our Coach's Conversation Cafe is really about coming together, coming up with solutions on how we can approach parents better, and how we can approach our players better as well. But kind of shifting gears along those lines with families and students that we're working with. I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. I know that you've been doing this work for a long time, and just like for you to share a little bit about your current position, how you're serving our students and family, not just in Tulare County, but throughout the Central Valley, really. I know you're doing some phenomenal work out there, but if you could share with our audience a little bit about your current job and how long you've been doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I've when I graduated from Fresno State in 2009, I was one of the fortunate MSWs to get a job because the market crash in 2009 hit. And so I was only like 4 months before graduation, and Fresno State puts on a great career day around the student union there. And so you submit your resume to, vendors there that are looking for, masters or whatever the case may be for jobs. So I put my resume in a nonprofit out of Tulare, and they had an office in Fresno, and it was with Golden State Family Services. And so I got a call probably within 2 weeks after the resume dropped in, and they knew that I was going to graduate with MSW, and I got an interview probably the next week. On a Thursday, I was in class. I got a missed call that they wanted to have an interview. So I got the job, Johnny on the spot on the interview. And they go, when can you start? And I'm like, right now? So they said, no, just how about next Monday? So I was carrying a small caseload while I was still in grad school. And so I was pretty happy about that. And so right after graduation, I was already working full time. Max case that I was carrying about 21 use within various counties, Tulare, Fresno. And so working in that agency for 7 years, I was reflecting about myself within those years about who I was. If this is something I want to do, because I think everybody does have a moment in their life where they have a reflection about who they are, what profession is this, what you want to do for the rest of your life. And so God works in mysterious ways, and so I channeled through, myself and what I do as a coach, how I can connect with these young youth or women, that are in foster care. And so my buddy, who I went to school with, his name's Jesus Rodriguez. He's the director right now of New Era FFA. We both went to school together in Woodlake in class of 99. And so he reached out to me and asked me about my current job working at Golden State. And he's like, hey, let's meet for lunch in Selma at Pizza Hut, and let's just see what we can do. And so I didn't really know what he wanted to meet with, and so what he wanted to discuss. And so he's like, hey, I know you work for a foster agency. How about let's do one of our own? Says, man, that'd be nice, but what do you need from me? He's like, hey, I need your experience, your MSW experience of 7 years, and what you've done working with youth, what type of groups and whatever you've dealt with. I did boys group, boys to gents group there in Tulare. So anyways, so in 2014, it was a year process. I was actually coaching in Woodlake. I was actually working for the school district in the cafeteria because I was going part-time at the other agency. And I was just like, okay, it's going to happen one of these days. So then a year later, he calls and says, hey, Castillo, we got our business license. Let's get this baby rolling, And so, yeah, it took a year. And so him and I started a contract with Tulare County because I was really connected with Tulare County. And then from Tulare County, we started getting involved with Fresno County. And then from Fresno County, we got into Madera County, and then Madera led to Kings County. So within maybe a 2.5 year process, we started, developing revenue, and everything went back to the foster parents. And so we started connecting with either students that I went to grad school with, or he went to grad school with in rehab counseling. So now the 7 of us now are full-time who have master levels degree, whether it's in rehab counseling, whether if it's an MFT, social work, masters in social work. And so with that being said, we do work with those various counties and connecting them to resources and actually get them adopted or placed back home with their parents. So we have a contract with those counties, and we our MOU is we like to, work with the children and families, the bio parents, their grandparents, whoever's connected to that youth and wants that youth back in their home. That's who we're going to work with. And so with that, that's what we do. And also, this past year, I had a contract developed with Arizona State University. I'm taking interns now through Arizona State University, as when I started the business, we started doing it with Fresno State first. So I currently do MSW with Fresno State, and now I just started Arizona State University. So this summer will be the first summer that I'll have interns over the summer. So it's pretty exciting.
Wow, that it sounds like such rewarding work, Coach, and good work. I mean, it's like, how can you not come home every day and you just feel good about what you did? I mean, as a guy in law enforcement for 25 years, I know a lot of people didn't like you when you showed up, and they didn't like you when you left. So you get kind of used to that. So enjoy it. It's nice to do that work where people appreciate it, for sure. Now, we heard a little rumor here, a little buzz at the show here at Coach's Conversation Cafe, where somebody might be on staff with the new coach over at the junior college of Sequoias here, and the football team. And I had a feeling that it might be you. I'm just guessing. So if that's true, tell us a little bit about your new coaching gig there, and What the heck is going on at COS?
Yeah, I know, right? They're gonna write a book about me, huh?
Let's hope so.
So yes, it's true. Keith, it's true. I am this taking opportunity for growth, and I got nothing to lose but to gain growth there at COS. Coach Travis Burkett reached out to me probably about a month ago. A funny story how all this happened. You know, I wasn't even looking yet or even pursuing, just because I had so much going on my plate. My sister, who works at COS for over 25 years, works in the program called EOPS. And so she just reached out to me saying that, hey, that coach is looking for volunteer work, and wanted to reach out if anybody had a connection with youth or whatever the case may be. And so me having to have the opportunity to be at Mount Whitney, I do come in contact with a lot of students who need hours or volunteer or whatever the case may be. So that was the way I was connected through Coach Burkett at COS. So he asked for my number through an email. Then I'm coming actually on 384 to my home in Ivanhoe, and he calls me up and asks me, hey, I heard about you, and what do you do? Where's your family from? Where are your grandparents from? So I like an open history book. And so he was just diving in. And so he really wanted to meet. So we had some Café at the component lab here, downtown East Main in Visalia, plugging in that coffee shop because it's pretty good. So we sat down, and then he was like, hey, he was pretty jazzed about my background and social work and the opportunities and experiences that I've had with Woodlake, Mission Oak, and then Mount Whitney. And he had offered me a position with being an assistant coach there, either offense or defense. But I was told just recently that I'll be doing DBs, and then obviously be doing the equipment manager job as well. So getting my foot in the door is blessed. He gave me the opportunity. And so I've been really humble about a lot of things. And I'm excited. I'm thrilled that there's a lot of Mount Whitney alumni who actually are playing for COS is coming up fall. Excited to see them make great things, putting, COS back on the map. We've got my alma mater, Woodlake High kids coming out who are just as jazzed and ready to go for fall camp and summer camp. And I'm excited. Again, this has been a blessing these last 2 months. And, going back to the reflection of you have your bad days, and coming home and you just think, wow, what could I have done better? And then knowing that at the end of the tunnel, there's a lot more great things that, you can think of, versus the bad, and so these are one of the good things, that I'm able to be part of and see my growth get bigger, and, and then obviously at the junior collegiate level, seeing what that is also. So I'm excited.
Well, it's definitely a big deal. I mean, we're so thrilled for you, especially being here locally and understanding the importance of what College of Sequoias does for our Central Valley, what it does for Visalia, and to have you to be a part of that. That's just a big deal. I know Keith played there. I played there. COS was our place. That's where we got everything started. We were very fortunate we played at different times. We just missed each other by about a year. But everybody starts somewhere. And, being the very first one in my family, just like you've mentioned, going off to college and wanting to pursue my dream of always playing football. But having a great place like College of Sequoias was a great spot for me personally. And a lot of great things happened after that, but I use football as a vehicle to do my undergrad and graduate work. And so I too can tell you that COS is a great place, and we're excited for you because that's a big deal. We definitely want to fill those stands. I know when Keith and I played, we were averaging probably, 5,000 to 7,000 people at some of our games on Saturday. So it was a big deal, And that's a lot of people for the Mineral King Bowl. Yeah. So, just remember that you guys got some big expectations on our part, but we're here to support you. And we definitely want you to pass it on to Coach Burkett to let them know that we're here. And you got some proud alums that are just waiting to be a part of the big process. And I know that he's done some phenomenal things already. We're also very fortunate because Keith and I both have our sons out there at COS right now, and as we speak. And so it's a big deal being alums, but having our sons following that same path. And they'll go on to do some bigger, and hopefully we're always very hopeful they're going to do bigger and better things. But that's what you hope for with your sons and with your children in general. So we're excited for you here at Coach's Conversation Cafe. This is a big deal, and so we're glad to have you, and I'm proud of you. Having to coach side by side with you, you being part of our team when we were coaching at Mount Whitney, and we know what happened there. We had a lot of fun, a lot of players, a lot of good things happened there, and again, it's always going to be a challenge, no matter what we do in coaching. But I'm so proud of you to say that you're part of College of Sequoias. Our hometown is here in Visalia, and so we're definitely thrilled for you. So, but again, thanks for being on today's show, and I'm going to turn it back over to Keith.
Thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely, and I echo the same sentiments for sure, Coach. I usually like to give a few minutes, or if need be, to our guest in case there's something we missed or didn't ask, or you'd like to share, or an event, or anything special that you'd just like to mention, Coach. I always allow a little bit of time to do that. So go ahead, feel free to just talk freely and share whatever you like.
Yeah. So I think how I got into coaching was two mentors that I had growing up that were part of Woodlake. And that was Coach Leo Robinson and Coach Frank Ailey. Those two men opened the doors for a lot of, obviously, the rural area of Woodlake. A lot of majority is Hispanic culture, and they didn't really care who you were, what walk of life or color. They treated you equal. And Coach Robinson gave me I have a twin, so I'm a twin brother. We both played football together. He knew that we work on the weekends, and so he gave us an opportunity to cut his yard and trim the bushes or whatever the case may be. And also getting to know Coach at the other level of just a human being, knowing that he is your coach and he's the PE head coach and whatnot, athletic director. But at that Saturday, cutting the lawn, you got to know a little bit more about him, and so that was pretty cool just to know that he had a soft, gentle heart for a lot of human beings. And he might come off tough and whatnot, but he was a gentle giant. And so those two coaches really made it really easy for me to say, coaching is what I wanted to do. And so obviously couldn't go to the next level because of my height, but I did play like, big boy, like what's his name? Kelly from Buffalo Bills, because I'm a Buffalo Bills, Jim Kelly. Doug Fluties, Flutie Flakes, those are my role models, and so, but I'm just happy to be part of your guys' boys' lives and see them now at the collegiate level. I saw your son Keith last week. I was so jazzed to see Q, and when I saw AV, when Coach Burkett introduced me to the boys, it was really, really nice. And so, like I said, those boys are really going to make me feel welcome. The transition from high school into COS. And so I'm excited, and I'm really, to see what, this opportunity and chapter is going to do for me.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Coach Castillo and I also share something similar. Not only are we Fresno State alum, but we're also Delta Sigma Phi fraternity brothers. Now, him being a tad younger than me, he came in after me. But, I'm sure I was one of his heroes, right, Coach?
Most definitely. I had to learn about you.
Kidding. I'm only kidding. But, thank you for that anyways. So we're both Delta Sigs and proud of it. So we're glad to have you on, as Adam alluded to, Coach. And again, Joseph Castillo, Program Manager for New Era Foster Family Agency. Thank you for sharing your unique experience on your pathway to coaching, your job, your family life, and coming from your humble beginnings, brother, like a lot of us, but you've done well. And education, as I say a lot, and me and Adam share the same sentiments, is it's a great equalizer, and you're proof of that, my friend. So for all of us here at Coach's Conversation Cafe, Adam Valencia, CEO and owner of RY Inc., Coach Castillo, good luck. We will be out there with you. We got your back, bro. And yit bos. Until next time on Coach's Conversation Cafe. Have a great day.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good afternoon.